Want to know how I found out that Osama bin Laden died? I found out that Osama bin Laden died because of that cultural vulture, John Cena. Yeah. That's how I found out. And
你好，中国，这是叫西亚。我必须说，现在速度与
everybody was excited. We were all psyoped, right? I'm not a 9/11 debunker. I think Al Qaeda did it. I just think people within the government were okay with it happening because it fit a narrative and a need that we wanted, which was to take out two different countries. But whatever, guys. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this bin Laden conspiracy theorist. I'm DJ Rose UN, and you know what we're here to do. Now, I like conspiracy theories, right? But I don't always believe them. I always got to just dive in, see who and where it came from. And this one kind of hit a little bit of a nerve. I was like, this is interesting. This is an interesting guy that this theory came from. Now, I want you to imagine a story, right? 2011, like I told you, you find out bin Laden's dead, and you see all the news media coverage of the body being dumped into the ocean and the soldier standing there. And I remember like going to school and everybody was telling us that that's what Muslims did. This is how they were buried. And I soon found out, well, later in life, like pretty soon after that, that's haram. That's not how you bury Muslims. And I instantly was like, this is not making sense. This has bin Laden. We wanted Gaddafi. We paraded him in the streets, let the crowd cut off his genitalia in Minecraft, and sent it to Putin. We have a long history of people that we don't like doing it in public to let people know that, Maduro paraded around in America after kidnapping, but bin Laden, the one that orchestrated this plan, we just sneak attacked, middle of the night, crashed a helicopter out in his front yard, killed his kids, killed him, threw him on a boat because we didn't want people to memorialize him. Come on, guys. Come on. If you're listening to this video and you're listening to me right now, come on. You know that. You know that's not what happened. On the night of May 1st, 2011, President Barack Obama stepped into the East Room of the White House and delivered one of the most dramatic presidential addresses in modern history. Details poured out instantly. Years of CIA tracking, a mysterious compound in Abu Dhabi, Pakistan, a small team of Navy SEALs from the elite SEAL Team 6, a brief firefight, bin Laden shot in the head, his body flown out, DNA positively identified immediately, and then he was buried at sea to prevent any shrines from being placed for him. Crowds poured into streets chanting USA, USA. The media went into overdrive, nonstop coverage. Front page headlines in every major paper. Wall-to-wall cable news. It was portrayed as the perfect full stop to the 9/11 era. Justice had finally been done, guys. I was a child in this time, celebrating in class, slapping hands with kids. Yeah. Like I told you, I got my announcement from John Cena. Like that night, went to school the next day, proud, right? Little did we know it would end almost 10 years later in 2021. Less than 2 years later, though, the story was already on the big screen. And I don't know if you remember this, but it was almost like the narrative was already written. Catherine Bigelow's Zero Dark 30 released on December 12, 2012, becoming a definitive cinematic version of the narrative. Jessica Chastain played the obsessive CIA analyst, Maya, who never gave up on the hunt. The climax was tense. Night vision raid sequence that showed SEALs storming the compound and clearing rooms and putting bullets into bin Laden. The film was nominated for Best Picture and grossed over $130 million. A low-budget TV movie, SEAL Team 6, The Raid on bin Laden, aired on National Geographic around the same time too. Both movies presented the raid as clean, heroic, A success based on the official narrative. The American public basically watched the story, including myself, and just went with that's what happened. I remember arguing this in high school and middle school. Like, bro, you didn't see the movie? Dude, you didn't see Lone Survivor? Dude. While the movies were still in the theaters, two members of that raid, though, decided to tell their story, and the Obama administration oddly came down on them very, very hard. Matt Bissonnette published a No Easy Day on August 2012. It was the first detailed first-person account of the raid from someone who actually was inside of the compound. And Matt is a Navy SEAL who appeared on the episode with Sean Ryan. Go watch it for better reference. The Pentagon had not pre-approved the manuscript, which violated the strict non-disclosure agreements every special operator signs. The DoD threatened legal action, accusing him of revealing classified details, and ultimately sued. In 2016, Bissonnette settled, and he had to forfeit roughly $6.6 million in book royalties and move rights to the United States government. He later said that the administration pursued him aggressively because the book dropped right in the middle of the 2012 re-election year. And I want you to remember this 2012 re-election year, because this is seemingly what this theory is kind of built on. Robert O'Neill, the man who publicly claimed he fired the fatal shots into bin Laden's forehead, went even further, though. He gave interviews, Esquire, Fox News, Washington Post, and later wrote The Operator. The Navy reminded all Navy SEALs of their code of silence, opened an NCIS investigation into O'Neill, and senior SEAL leadership issued letters slamming anyone who sought personal fame. Both men were painted by critics inside the administration as glory-seeking rule breakers who endangered future operations by talking. Now, I want you to imagine that these guys are the ones actually doing it. These are the politicians behind making the money off the Hollywood scripts. To many observers, especially in the military and conservative circles, it looked like the Obama White House wanted to control the narrative, leak favorable details, which help politically, then punish the actual operators when they told the unfiltered version. Enter Alan Parrott, the Falconeer's bombshell counter-narrative. This is where Alan Hero Parrott steps in. That's right, look at this guy. The self-described former CIA asset, international Falcon smuggler. He was literally the star of the 2010 documentary Feathered Cocaine, a Middle Eastern intelligence operative who claims he has been trying to expose the real story since before the raid even happened with Osama bin Laden.
The entire 9/11 operation was not funded out of bin Laden's personal pocket. It was not funded by Taliban. It was funded out of the Gulf.
These are Al-Qaeda's boardroom.
The falconry camps are just a metaphor for the way business is done in the Middle East.
I was supplying and training the Falcons, without which these camps could not exist. I'm interested in Falcons, but I've been sucked into a whirlpool of intrigue involving terrorism, against my will, against my interest. But what do you do when you walk in a room and you see a Falcon and a terrorist? You can report it, but then what do you do when nobody wants to hear it?
But you did have a meeting with Osama bin Laden, as I understand.
According to Parrott, who has told his version in interviews with Benghazi victim families, including Charles Wood, and in videos still circulating online, the entire official raid was a carefully staged deception built on body doubles, and Obama administration knew about it. Here is the core to Parrott's theory. Number one, the real bin Laden was never in Abu Dhabi. Parrott claims his sources, high-level contracts he developed while running falconry operations across the Middle East and Central Asia, told him years earlier where the genuine Osama bin Laden was actually located. He says he even tried to pass the information to the Bush administration, but was ignored. By 2011, he alleges Iran had taken custody of the real bin Laden, or at least knew exactly where he was. And from what I've gathered, it wasn't so much the Ayatollah as it was the Islamic Republic, the military aspect, intelligence units that were possibly housing him. Iran then struck a deal with the Obama administration that could help stage a successful raid in Pakistan so Obama could claim victory and boast his re-election chances. Number 2, the body double switch. Iran or their proxies allegedly placed a look-alike in the Abu compound right before the raid. Parrott says one of bin Laden's wives ran towards the SEALs screaming, "Don't shoot, he's a double," but was ignored. The man the SEALs killed and whose body was photographed and DNA tested was not the real al-Qaeda leader. Parrott insists that the real bin Laden actually lived on life afterward in Iran. The payoff? The Iran nuclear deal via Barack Obama.
After 2 years of negotiations, the United States, together with our international partners, has achieved something that decades of animosity has not: a comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Once the raid was over, Iran supposedly had proof, video, audio documents that the United States had knowingly killed a double and lied to the world. To keep Iran quiet, the Obama administration, with Joe Biden deeply involved, agreed to the 2015 nuclear deal and released approximately $150 billion in frozen sanction relief on Iran.
Sanctioned the $400 million delivery of cash on wooden pallets to Iran back in January of this year. The transfer consisted of euros, Swiss francs, and other bills obtained from central banks in Switzerland and the Netherlands. The money was delivered to Iran aboard an unmarked cargo plane. The Obama administration says the money is the first part of a $1.7 billion Hague settlement between the U.S. and Iran from an arms dispute dating back.
Eric calls this straight-up extortion and hush money. Number 4, the SEAL Team 6 cleanup extortion. The final and darkest piece in Parrott's telling: the men from SEAL Team 6 who actually carried out the raid, or at least those who knew the truth about the double, had to be silenced. 3 months later, in August 6, 2011, a Chinook helicopter, call sign Extortion 17, was shot down in Afghanistan, Tangi Valley, killing 38 people, including 17 SEALs and 5 Naval Special Warfare support personnel. Parrott claims this was no random RPG hit. He alleges the Obama-Biden administration, or elements working with them, deliberately leaked the flight details to the Taliban or allowed the helicopter to be taken out as a blood sacrifice to eliminate the witnesses. He points out that the SEALs on Extortion 17 were the same elite unit, though not the exact same platoon that hit Abu, and that the crash was the single deadliest day for the U.S. forces in the entire Afghanistan campaign. Parrott says he possesses the smoking gun evidence, hours of audio recordings, videos, documents, witness statements from Middle Eastern networks that prove every link that he has to this chain. He claims he turned some of this material over to the Trump administration, even met Trump in Mar-a-Lago. He has repeatedly offered to produce these files in court or congressional hearings, but says the FBI raided his home in 2023, seized his hard drives, and has since lost or suppressed them. And that is the end of the video. And guys, that was a long one. And there was a lot to piece together there. You know, we're going from Navy SEALs to bin Laden to Obama. But again, you have to understand something. If you are a person that is in a group, isolated, talking about Israel rules the world, and that's the only thing they talk about online, they're in a psyop. There's never just one thing going on. There's always like at least 5 to 3 different situations occurring at once. Okay? And whether they're good or bad, I'm not here to say that if Obama did kill a double, that it was a bad thing. I mean, maybe he did want a moment to get him an election. It won him the election. Didn't make sense. Dumb bodies in the ocean. I mean, like, we needed that body, bro. We wanted that body in the streets. We wanted to parade it around, run around with it. That's what we wanted to do. But instead, we got movies a year after, and we all went to the movie theater, and we're like, oh my God. Oh my God. Who knows if it was true? I don't know. Shout out to the military guys, the Navy SEALs. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you did. And on to the next video. If you haven't already, go subscribe, like, and share the video. I'm DJ Rose UN, and I am out.